Wassup YouTube, PokePrimer here, ready to deliver you our Week 4 Team Builder of NPBA Season 2. This week we are searching for revenge from last season when Jacob and the Hereford Goodras defeated us. It kind of stung. It stung a little bit. Still stings to this day. And I'm not a fan of that. So we're going to come out really hard this week and we're going to try to get our revenge for that loss. Not a fan of it. Don't like the idea that we lost. So now is the time that we're going to rectify it. So, here we are, team building for his new squad, which, I'm like 50-50 on his squad. It's kind of decent, kind of not. I'm like, but we'll get into that. If you guys are hyped, please make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's really get into this. His team's kind of good. Got a couple of like the main threats, and then there's a couple of things that I'm just kind of like, why did you draft this? But he's got Landorus Therian as his trademark, which is a fantastic mon to trademark because it is one of the best mons in the league format and standard play as well. Mega Manectric, so he's got his fast electric type in his Mega slot, which is really deadly. Yeah, Klefki, Staraptor, Florges, Metagross, Drapion, Rotom, Xatu, Claydol, Huntail, and Chatot. So as you see, like in the first part of his team, he developed a bit of a ground weakness, but literally spent the entire last half of his draft drafting things that weren't weak to ground in Xatu, Claydol, Chatot, and Rotom. So there's that. But he has a massive ice weakness. I mean, half of his team is weak to ice. So definitely a very huge noticeable flaw in his squad that we can definitely take advantage of. But yeah, so with that being said, let's get into the actual team builder. This week we are leading the squad with Tommy the Tyranitar rocking an assault vest with the Sandstream ability. With the Sandstream, we're going to put up the sand, and the sand is going to boost our special defense, I believe it's 1.5 times, and then we're going to add an assault vest on top of that. Nothing, and I mean nothing, there's not a single special hit that he can throw at me that's going to tickle me. Tyranitar is going to swallow it like a beast. Tyranitar doesn't care. And with our max physical defense, we can take on things like the Landorus. Things like, we can switch into we can maybe take on Staraptor. Not so well if it's not, like if it's not scarfed or banded into something, we can take it on really well. Because if it doesn't scarf or band itself into close combat, we can switch in like every single time. And it does nothing to us, and then it's pretty much just either it switches or it dies. So that's cool. This thing being Assault Vest switches into literally half of his team. We can take a hit from the Florges without any issue. We can take hits from the Klefki without any issue. We can take hits from Mega Manectric without any issue at all. This spread just overall walls so much on his team and takes so many insane hits. It's kind of insane. It's really kind of wild. This thing essentially walls things like the Xatu and Claydol. Claydol not as much because it gets Earth Power and it can still hit us kind of decently hard, but not so much. But yeah, this thing overall is just too good, and it really allows us to mess around with his coverage. We're running 248 HP and max physical defense with a relaxed nature, a little bit into our SPDF. The reason I'm running a relaxed nature is because I wanted to be a bit of a mixed attacker. I knew I was going to be mostly special, but I wanted to be a little mixed because I knew I needed something for the Florges. So you're going to see with the moveset, we have Ice Beam. Ice Beam for that huge ice weakness, especially for the Landorus. Landorus might think it can just come in and Earthquake us, and we can just go for an Ice Beam. I'm pretty sure we, like, OHKO. We have a chance to OHKO after rocks or something. Pretty sure about that. Pretty certain about that. Don't quote me on it, but I'm fairly certain we are. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we OHKO after rocks, which is awesome. Next move we got is the Earth Power. Earth Power is there because Mega Manectric likes to intimidate things. Mega Manectric might think it could switch into us, intimidate us, and not take too much damage. Well, spoiler alert, we have the Earth Power, and it's going to do a very decent chunk to the Mega Manectric every single time. And it'll chunk a few of those earlier mons mentioned as well. We have the Dark Pulse because the Xatu, Claydol, and Metagross. I originally had Thunderbolt on this moveset. I think I had Thunderbolt on this moveset to hit the Chatot, Huntail, or it hit the Huntail, the Xatu, and stuff like that. But then I decided after a little bit of thought, I was like, Dark Pulse is better because it's stab, and will allow us to maybe potentially grab a flinch on something that might be slower than us. There's not too much on his team that's slower than us, actually. There's actually nothing on his team that's slower than us, but okay. Lol. Yeah, unless the Huntail's like not speed invested, there's nothing on his team that's slower than us, so that's cool. But yeah. We have that Dark Pulse for the Xatu and the Claydol. Do really big damage to them as well. And then lastly, we're packing the Iron Head. Iron Head, even uninvested, still does a decent chunk to a physically defensive Florges, which is very, very good to see because Florges could be a huge threat. Florges outright walls this set otherwise if we didn't pack Iron Head, so it's really, really good to have it on there. Just in case. So, that's going to be our Tyranitar set. Next up we have Zanzibar, who's going to be kind of a suicide-ish lead this week, almost. I'm pretty much planning on suiciding this thing off early to get big damage off, which isn't necessarily like a surprising thing to do. I'm not gonna lead with it, but I'm gonna lead with someone who can bait the Mega Manectric early. Might lead with Charizard, actually. In all honesty, I may lead with Charizard. And then maybe pull the switch into the Donphan. That'd be kind of cool, because then if he could just HP Ice us a couple times. HP Ice us once, we get our rocks up. This is why we're fully specially defensive, because he can HP Ice us once. It's HP Ice, I believe, is a 3-hit KO from Manectric, and there's no other move that he has that can touch us. So we get free rocks. We could spin any hazards he may have set up away. And then we'll be down in Kustop range, and we can get off a free, nice and powerful Earthquake, which is awesome. Really, really awesome. Really, really fantastic to have. I really wanted to mess with Kustop. I saw, what's his name? Chimpact in the GBA. He brought a Kustop-Berry Donphan, and it absolutely did work. I believe it was Chimpact who did it. Either Chimpact or MV, one of the two, brought Donphan with a Kustop, and it did so much damage. So that's pretty cool. We have the Rapid Spin, keep hazards off, Earthquake for stab, Stealth Rocks because we need them, and then Ice Shard for the Landorus. Even if we intimidate us, Landorus is still going to take a lot because it is 4 times super effective. So even if you like intimidate us, it's still going to like chunk its HP decently, and we can just maybe pick off a bunch of things throughout the matchup. And that's our Donphan. Hopefully this set works out for us. I mean, we're definitely not a player of the caliber of Chimpact or MV, but hopefully we can pull this off right. So that's really cool. Next up, we have Ripster, our Garchomp. We're rocking a Choice Scarf this week. Earthquake, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, and HP Ice. Enough speed to outspeed base 100s, being the Staraptor. Because his speed tiers are something I kind of want to talk about. His speed tiers are really... There's a really huge gap. He's got Mega Manectric, which is the fastest thing on his team. Base 135. And then the next fastest thing is his Staraptor at base 100. There's nothing in between. So any Mon that I have that's base 100 or above, I can make to outspeed the entirety of the squad, which is pretty deadly looking. So I'm really able to take advantage and punish him for not having Mons that are faster than base 100. Yeah, I can punish him for that. So, talk about the moveset. We have Earthquake. All those early ground weaknesses, we can take care of them. When it comes down to it, though, there's a lot of things that can switch into Earthquakes. So, we're going to get the rest of the moveset. We got Poison Jab because the Florges likes to switch in, and the Rotom might like to switch in sometimes. We have the Rock Slide because things like the Staraptor might want to switch in, or the Xatu might want to switch in. Something like that, they could switch in and catch a Rock Slide, bitch. And then we have HP Ice because a certain Landorus might want to switch in from time to time and does not appreciate an HP Ice. We actually 2-hit KO Landorus T with HP Ice from Garchomp. So that's pretty freaking great. I love those mons that can run a hidden power that nobody sees coming, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's dead. But that's going to be our Garchomp for this week. Next up, our beautiful Bellabuster, the Sand Sweeper set. Sand Rush with the Life Orb, Adamant Nature, Max Attack, a little bit of HP and defense investment, and then we have enough speed so that once our speed doubles up, we outspeed a Choice Scarfed Staraptor, which Scarfed Staraptor is the fastest thing he could bring against us, so holy shit, that's awesome. We have Return, just to overall hit everything. Like, it hits everything on my opponent's team neutrally, except for, like, 2 things. We have Ice Fang for the Landorus. Even if it wants to try to intimidate us, Ice Fang is still going to do a ridiculous chunk of damage. We have Crunch for the Metagross, because that does resist our return, which kind of sucks. And we have Iron Head for the Klefki. Now, would I ever stay in against Klefki? Not a chance in hell will I stay in against Klefki. That's stupid, because Klefki can just Pranks or T-Wave us and then ruin the Sand Sweep. So you better believe either Klefki will be dead before this thing comes in, or, yeah it's not going to come in at all. So that's cool. Iron Head will also hit the, I believe it 2 KOs the Florges, 2 or 3 KOs the Florges, but still, it does a lot of damage. And it could potentially flinch, too, so that's cool. But, yeah, Bellabuster's going to put in a lot of work. Bellabuster's so quick in the sand, it can really, really devastate Jacob's team if we use it right. Next up, we have Basilisk, our Heliolisk, also rocking a Life Orb. Now, we're not scarfing it this week, even though we could. Or not. Because, first of all, there's no way, and this is just my opinion, there's no way that there's no way in hell that he would keep a Staraptor in against a Heliolisk. No way. Not a chance. He would never do it unless he was guaranteed going for close combat. No way he would do it. Because that's essentially sacking your Staraptor unnecessarily. I see a scenario where this thing can come in the sun against a Staraptor, which would be kind of dope. So, this thing, being the monster that it is, can just start clicking moves. This thing comes in and just starts clicking random moves. Which it can totally do because, A, it outspeeds... We're going to have to scout to see if Lando's Scarfed. We're going to have to scout at some point for Landorus being Scarfed, because if Landorus is Scarfed, then this plan may or may not work. But we do have enough speed to outspeed the Landorus Therian, so that's cool. So we can outspeed that thing naturally. Between Life Orb and Solar Power, we're getting such a boost to our moves. We're basically just killing things every time they come in. And we can just click a move, kill it, click a move, kill it. The way I see things going is Staraptor comes in against us or something, or whatever would switch into us, would have to be faster than us. Have to be. Because there's no reason why he would switch it in if he didn't know that it would be faster. We could Thunderwave things. Thunderwaving things would be great. Most of the time, we're just gonna... part of me wants to Thunderwave the Staraptor as early as possible before this situation even becomes a thing, so I can just guarantee that I outspeed and just kill everything. But Life Orb gives us the ability to switch up our moves, which really, really helps us in the situation because I can just go for whatever move fits whatever's in front of me. You know, if Landorus isn't Scarfed and he switches in on a Volt Switch, I can just go for the HP Ice, and the Landorus is dead. And then now it's not a problem. Then I can just click Hyper Voice on the rest of his team. Essentially. Just click Hyper Voice on the rest of his team. Hyper Voice or Volt Switch. And the damage is just going to be racked up constantly. Absolutely racking up damage and just tearing the team to shreds. That's what Basilisk does. Basilisk does it very, very well. Especially being modest too. Being modest nature is really, really going to help us a lot because it guarantees KOs. So, yay! Heliolisk, godlike. Now, in order to put that stun for him, we are bringing Spyro, the Mega Charizard Y. With the drought ability, of course. This thing is pretty standard spread. Timid, max speed, max special attack, just in case the Staraptor is abandoned or not Scarfed in some way for some reason. If it's not, we'll outspeed it. And regardless, we speed dash / outspeed the entirety of Jacob's team with this spread. Fire Blast, because sun boosted Fire Blasts are no joke. Solar Beam, because there's a Huntail that could switch in. And there's, yeah, that's that. And, on top of that, I'm packing the Tailwind and the Will-O-Wisp. Tailwind is really, really nice, because if I know that I'm going to die, but whatever's in front of me is faster, is slower than me, I can go ahead and set up a Tailwind as Charizard's going to die. That way, when Heliolisk comes in afterwards, potentially Heliolisk will be double the speed and double the insane firepower. So that's pretty cool. Then we have the Will-O-Wisp because of the Staraptor and the Lando. I want to be able to just kind of fire off a Will-O-Wisp. The cool thing is my opponent has no fire types, so I can honestly just every time I hit the field just click Will-O-Wisp and something gets burned. Something will get burned. So that's really cool. So, hooray, hurrah, fantastical bullshit. And that's going to be our squad. If you guys have enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, I am PokePrimer, signing off.